Today's topic will be on solving linear inequalities. Well, let's look back for a second. A solution of an equation is a value of a variable that makes a true statement when substituted into an equation. But what about an inequality? Well, let's take x is greater than 3, for example. An inequality is used when we don't quite know what the expression is equal to, thus denoted by x, as you can see. Let's solve this first example. Graph the inequality. This means that all numbers are greater than 2. Notice that the open parentheses shows that the endpoint of the inequality is not included. So think greater than. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's also equal to, but we'll get more into that shortly. We can also write this in what we call interval notation. Because there is no upper bound denoted by x, it goes on without end. And we can express this as 3, infinity. Noting that because the endpoint 3 is not included in the inequality, the parentheses is used, just like in the number line. The same goes for the infinity because there is no definite endpoint, so we keep the parentheses. On the other hand, let's say we have x is greater than or equal to 2. Let's graph it. This means that all numbers will be greater than 2, but it can also mean that it's equal to 2. And if you notice, the open bracket shows that the endpoint of the inequality is included this time. Let's write this out. Again, because there is no upper bound, we express this as 3, infinity, noting that since the endpoint is 3, we keep the bracket, keeping the parentheses on the infinity side because, again, it has no endpoint. How about this one? X is less than 5. Well, let's first graph it. This means that all numbers are going to be less than 5. Again, but not equal to 5. Let's write it in its interval notation. Now, because there is no lower bound this time, it will go on until negative infinity. So we express this as negative infinity, 2. Noting, again, why we keep the parentheses on both sides. In this one, let's graph x is less than or equal to 5. This means that all numbers are going to be less than, but can also mean that it's equal to 5. So let's write this in its interval notation, noting why we keep the parentheses and the brackets on both sides.